Hello, this is Lena making Bespoke Craft Designs. In one of my other videos I said that I was doing lots of tidying up, and whilst I was tidying up I was destashing stuff that I wouldn't use again. But I love butterflies, but a lot of these butterflies are not really in the style I would do things now. Some of them are, some of them I could get away, especially in like a boho journal, so I've kept some to one side. Some I want to just repurpose them. I want to be able to use them again, but I want to make them a little bit more how I would use them. So I've got a few of these left, so I must have used some of these in my card making days. And then I've got some sets. I've got loads of butterflies in different colours, different sizes. And then I've got, and then I've got these ones. Now I presume I bought these, the die cuts, and I haven't got this die, I haven't got these dies because they're all different colours and all different sizes, these ones. And some of them I don't, you know, I love them all, but they're just not what I would use. So I thought I would have a play with them and see what I can come up with. Do a couple of different ones just to show you. Sorry about the crinkling. Take that out of the packet. I'm not going to use those black ones at the moment. I'm going to, oh actually maybe I will. Maybe I'll try. Let's have a look. Let's move the big ones out of the way for a minute because they're very big. And let's get the packaging off. I like the backs of these packaging. I should be using them for, well, of course I've got lots of acetate now. Using them for some big tags. It's awful when you can find a use for everything because you get so much stuff. I just find it difficult to throw stuff away. Right, let's keep those acetate bits together and those backs out my way. And then what I'm looking at with these, I'll just move a couple out my way. I'll do it with the black and white ones. Let's move that and do a plain one. You might see better. I can put it back in when I'm doing the spraying. So on these ones, they've got 2 layers. And the top layer, can I just break one off if I can do it gently? The top layer hasn't got any glitter on it, but the bottom layer has. So what I've done with these, I'll do a couple from this side. You have to be a bit careful so you don't split them. So these are really plasticky, and these have like the glittery on the other side. Well, some people might put these in their journals as they are, and that's fair enough if that's, you know, that's the way you want to use them. I don't want 2 layers. I don't want them stuck up like that. But I think they're absolutely gorgeous. So when I said I don't want 2 layers, I don't want that and that. I'd probably put something else on there. So what I've done with these ones, oh, that come off really easy. Some of them come off really easy. And so, I mean, if you were using them together, you'd have to glue them down. I'm going to leave those for a minute because that's something a little bit different that I've done with those. And then these ones, what I did with these, and I don't think I've actually got that out, but I can use a bit of this. Let's just have a look. Yeah, what I did was, so I've pulled out some different text papers. You could just stamp up some paper with your stamps and just do some background stamps, or you could put on what you like. But what I've done with this one, I've got a piece of old book page that I had, and what I've done is I've just glued them onto here. But what you will find is if you're gluing them, I'm still trying to use up this Nuvo one just because I had it from my card making days, and the other one I use is the 3-in-1 because these are plasticky. The what I love is this glue stick, but it doesn't stick them, they come off. So I'm going to use this and just stick some down. So I'm just going to stick this onto here. Just make sure you get enough down just to give them a good glue, and glue them on. Now I don't stick down the antennas because I cut them off. You really want them on, you can keep them on just to glue them down as well, but I don't. And then I just go in with my bone folder or whatever you've got that you spread your glue around, just to make sure you've got it well down. So, and then I'll do the same again. This is what I've done with them. Well, this is one idea. So I'm just going to glue a couple more down. So what I did here then, I separated these where it's the thick plasticky on the top from the bottom, and I left the ones with the foil round to do something else with, which I'm going to show you in a minute. And with the top bits, I just glued them either to book page or vintage letter is what I've done, or some of my faux vellum. So that's what I've done so far. I've done a few, so you didn't have to sit and watch me gluing them. I just used this Nuvo and the 3-in-1. I would normally use the 3-in-1. As I say, I'm just trying to use this up, and I just want to see if it does really work, because it worked when you first put it on, but I don't know whether it's going to peel back or not. So I just wanted to test that out and see. But I, you know, my favourite glue is the 3-in-1. So yeah, so I've got these down on here. I will cut them out off screen so you don't have to watch me cutting around them. So I've done those. Excuse me. And then on these, this is the faux vellum that I've made, and I'm not going to glue these all the way down. I've just glued them a little bit, and again I'm going to cut round them and then show you the effect of them. This way I've got just the faux vellum underneath, so I've done those. That's just one I have cut out, and that's just a bit of coffee dyed behind it with a little bit of, no, I think that's just a plain one, it hasn't got any text on it, that one. And I've left it with like an outline on it, which I liked that, so I've done those. And then these are the backings, these are the bits with the glitter on. Now these are the bits I'm not sure. I've kept some because I might put them in, depending, it's silver, I might put them in some of my boho journals, depending on what my other fabrics and things are, whether the silver would go with them, but they're not something I would use particularly. So what I've decided to do with some of them, I've got several, so that's one I've just cut out. So let me just find the one it is so you can see. I've put them away. Let me just find the one. I have them out ready and I've put them away. So that one there, just that one, that's what it looks like when it's got the vellum on it. It looks so much better with the vellum on, to my, you know, to what I do. I know that's really lovely and pretty, but I wouldn't use that like that. But with the vellum on like that, I would use it, or the faux vellum. So that's the same one, two different ways. So I just wanted to show you that. So these ones I'm covering with just some the faux vellum, and it's just the plain edge of where I've had I've done it onto a vintage letter. I've photocopied it. Well, I'd already photocopied it before I put the oil on, and it's just the edge where it's plain. Now these two are the same as these, but these are bigger. But that's just to show you, that's what they look like before, and that's what they look like with the vellum over the top. So it's just taking the shine off, and I like them better. And then I've still got two to do there. They're really shiny. And literally all I do, I'm going to use some Fabri-Tac on these two. So I'm just trying the two different glues just to see which ones do. And I've left these backs on the actual bit of that, you know, what they came on. I can't think what the word is. So I've left it on that. And then I'm just going to press this down, and you can do it either with your bone folder or with a card. I've just got a card on this occasion. And I'm just squeezing the glue so it distributes all over and the stick, and if any comes out the sides, that's fine. I just don't want it to be clumpy in the back. So that's that. I'm just going to wipe the edges. And I'm going to leave those to dry before I cut round them. So that's another set there. I didn't put the lid on my glue. Right, then these here, I just kept those just to show you what they looked like. I'm going to, and that's these before I've done them. So I'm just going to get some of the 3-in-1. I think I said Fabri-Tac, but the 3-in-1. Same difference. Same difference. I'm just going to put my first one on so my glue doesn't dry. Oscar's not with me at the moment. He's just been for a very long walk and he's exhausted. My daughter's taken him today because it's Sunday. It's when she brings us a meal. So she comes and drops us a meal off, and we've swapped over. I've took the meal off her and she's gone off with the dog to save me. I mean, I love taking him, but if I get the offer to do a bit more crafting because she's here, she's taking him for me. But it's not a hardship taking Oscar. It's something I love doing, but she just wanted to come and help out, so she's taking him for me. I'm just going to leave them to just distributing the glue again, and they look really nice with the text over the top. I just really like them. Oh, he has come. He's come to see me. Hello, Oscar. Are you coming to lay down now? You have your tea and your drink of water. You was really tired. Yes, I'm just going to leave those to dry. I think they look lovely. I'm going to leave those. And then these big ones, they're not, these ones here, they're not as, they've got a little bit of gold on these. I'm not going to do it on them all, I'm just going to show you on a couple. I think I've got one there that's already taken off. What I found with these, which one did I want to do it with? Doesn't really matter. I've got a few on different pages. I've not got that many of these left, but this one here, I've taken the front off already for something. And these ones, you find that in the middle they've got a bit of the double-sided tape. Now I could get some rubbing alcohol, and I think that would probably take it off, so I think that's what I'm going to do. But all I'm going to do with these, I'm just going to try one more and see if that's the same, if the backing stays on the back. Yeah, it is just a little bit stayed on the back of there. So what I've done with these, this is the top cover with like the bit of gold on, and I actually, if I can get them off, some of them are really stuck and hard to get off. Yeah, so what I've just done with them is I've left these more or less as they are. All I've done, again, I'm using things that I've got that, so I've got one there that's not got much of a, oh, it's coming off quite easy with my nail. Oh, that's good. Just saves me because I haven't got any rubbing alcohol in here, that's all. I've got some, but not in here. So if I can get that off. I've done that one. I don't know whether that one will come off. No. So that's the top one. That's the top one with the gold on. And that's the top one. So what I'm going to do, to show you what I'm going to do, I'm going to do it on the top ones and one bottom one, because I've still got some of this white stuff to take off. What I did with these, I found another thing that I don't use much now is the Nuvo drops. I used to put them on my cards as like little blobs on my cards, but I've got, well, this is just a few of them. I've got stacks of these. I must have 30, 40 of these, and it's just a waste not to use them. So I've pulled out a few colours, but on this one, all I'm going to do on these is, so this one's still together, I just haven't pulled it off, but I don't think it'll make any difference. I'm just going to go down the middle of this and do a thicker top, and then just narrow that down a bit. And just give it a black body instead of the goldy body, and I'm going to do the same with this one. Once you get used to how much pressure to put on when you're squeezing it, you'll get it a bit better. It takes me a few minutes to get into it, so you want your head a little bit thicker and then you want your body thinner. That's it, that looks a bit better, that one. And then I'm going to do the same on this one, and then I'm going to leave these to dry, because obviously, oh, the times I've put dots on cards and then ruined the cards because I've stuck my finger in them. So that's all I've done on these, but they do look really effective when they're dry, so I'm just going to put those out the way, because obviously I don't want to get in the way. So I've done that with those, and then I'll show you these others when I cut them down. The other thing I thought I'd do with some of these, I haven't tried this and I don't know what this is going to do. So now these ones, when I took the top layer off these, the split, the bottom layer was that stuck on, I had a job. Some of them come off, these ones come off really easy. I mean, these would, if I'd have put these on a card as they were, the top layer would have just peeled off. Now these wouldn't. These really did take some getting off. And it split, like this one, it split it, but I'm not going to waste it. So what I'm going to do these, I'm going to leave them on the backing, again on the plastic backing, and I just thought I'm going to have a play for a minute with these. Oh, I am, if I can get into me. Oh, goodness me. Can't get into me gesso. Oh, that's a good start. There we go. Gosh, that took some doing. I bet I've had a bit stuck on the edge. Whoops. So what I'm just going to do with these, because I mean they are really pretty, it's just I probably wouldn't use them the way they were, so I'm going to put some gesso on them, and then we're going to have to wait and see what these do. Whoops. That one. I've put quite a lot on, as you can see. I mean, if a bit of the shine comes through, it's not so bad, but I just want to dull them down a bit. So I'm just going to leave them and let them dry. And these ones, I'm just going to do it on one. I'm going to leave those because I like the idea of putting the faux vellum on those. I do like that idea. This one I'm just going to put some more of it's just on a little bit of the backing, plastic backing, and then I'm going to just do some of this as well and just put that on there. And then if you remember me showing you these ones that were die cut, but they weren't ones I'd die cut. I think they came already bought like this, but I can't remember getting them. I don't know whether somebody's bought me them, because I used to get a lot of presents, you know, for birthdays and things. I used to get a lot of craft presents. This might have been something somebody's bought me. I honestly can't remember. So these ones I'm going to just put some, and it's just an old card that I'm using, and I'm just going to put some now. What this does as well, which I really like, it gives these a little bit of texture. So I'm just going to give those a bit of texture. It doesn't matter if you don't colour them all, get rid of that off. And then these ones, if I'd have had it out, it would have been a lot more sensible, but I didn't. So I am just going to put these all together like this. Move them ones out the way, and I'm going to try this. I haven't tried this, so I don't know how it'll turn out. So just going to go over these, try to keep it still, and then scrape some of it back off. Oh wow, look at those. They are lovely. Oh, I like those. So what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to go... Oh, got another one on here, look. Oh, look at that one. That has covered completely, because some of them has only covered half of them. So I'm just going to scrape up this bit here. And then I'm going to try, without damaging the other, don't matter if I get any on the back, it doesn't matter. I'm just going to try and put some on this side too. Oh yes, I like them. Trying not to touch them, because obviously it'll take a while to, so I just want a tiny bit here. That's it. And a tiny bit on this side. And you can use any you've got. I've used these are stencils that I use with just inks and things, but I use them all like this. I use them. I've never used this one before to put gesso on. I mean, you can use thicker materials. You can actually use a paste that is thicker, but I didn't want it to be real thick, so that's why I'm doing it with gesso. And I'm just going to do this side here, and I just need a little bit more, and then obviously I'm going to have to put these to one side just to dry them. And where I've sort of gone over the other side, can you see where I've gone over the other side? Look how pretty they look. I'm going to leave them on. I've done them on my board so I can move my board out of the way and just show you what they've done. A bit messy, my board. Can you see, look how I've done those? And then obviously when they're dry, I'm going to colour them. It's finding space to put them, to leave them to dry, because I haven't got a lot of space. Then I just need to clean off my stencil, but I'm just going to get a few more of these now, and if I've got a bit left I'm just going to put it on. You don't have to put as much on as I had. I'm just cleaning everything I've got. So I'm going to put that one in there and just to clear some of this off. That's lovely with just a tiny bit on. Just where I'm taking off some of my and getting a bit on the background as well, which I should be using this background for tags later. So this is not actually a scrap piece of, I'll just move that out of the way so I can just, I like to wash these. And thing is, if you leave it to go dry, it's not like the paste where you can't get it off at all, but these are quite fragile and I don't want to break them. Here with a bit of gesso on, which will be drying. I've got a few of those. It's just got a bit of gesso on, not much. And then the rest of these that I've got here haven't got any gesso on. And then I've got one of the lids here, so I'm just going to take a section of these, a different selection of sizes and colours. These haven't got any gesso on at all. I'm just wondering, because this is what happens when you're doing your spraying. So I'm just going to cover up my other bits because I don't want them to get damaged. So I've just used that piece just to cover up the other bits. If I get this one sprayed on, it doesn't really matter. I just want to put this a bit more into screen so you can see what I'm doing. Let's just put them up there a little bit. So I tried some of these with coffee dyeing, but if you use coffee dye them first. You've got to let them dry thoroughly before you can do the next bit that I wanted to try out. I'm going to do some of the ones that I've got gesso on at the moment, and they will look slightly different because they'll take differently because of the gesso. But I'm just going to bring up some of the things I want to play with. I'm just looking what colours I want to do because I've not put anything on the background. I'm going to try some of these Magicals. Don't know whether you've ever used the Magicals, but one of the ones that I like to always have a play with, but you have to be very careful with this one. This is the black gesso, and it does go all different colours. So what I was just going to do, I was just going to show you on a, if I can find one. Got nothing just so I can, oh, I was just going to show you on this first. This is just a plain piece of paper. You've probably tried them before, and I've made a hole in the top of this, and then I've just put one of these little pinboard pins in it, and literally it doesn't look as if you've put anything on. You literally spray it, well, shake it should I say, and you maybe can't even pick that up on the screen. I'm going to try and show you how little I've put on there. The first time I did this, I was so amazed. Can you see? Little tiny bits like that. I think actually I'm going to move these. Perhaps I might get a bit more of a problem than I want. So I'm going to move those just to the side. And then I'm just going to show you how quick this reacts. Just from that little bit. And the more you spray, the more the colours disperse. And then what you can do, look at the beautiful colours in that. And you know, if you get some pooling like that, you can either dab it off or you can just let it move a little bit. This is just ordinary copy of paper. I'm just shaking that off just so I can show you what it does. And just look at that, how lovely that is. I mean, I will dry that and use that for something else, but that wasn't, I'm not going to do it on paper today. I am just going to take up some of that water. I always have a bit of a cloth with me just to mop up if there is any pooling. So that's what I wanted to try on just a few. I might get a few more out because I'm going to do a few with the same colours on and then change colours. So I'm going to put some of these grey ones, a little blue one, and I'll do that green one. So can you see those in the camera okay? Yeah, I think you can. I'm sorry about this mess in front of me, but it's because I want to show you the other colours that I've got. So I'll move these for a minute and then we'll try one of those as well, see what they do. Let me put those in there. So as I say, these are just straight on the card. That if you wet them too much, the card will separate, so you have to be careful. And all I'm doing is going over each one of these butterflies and just tapping a little bit. You saw how quick it spread, so I'm not going to do too much. Well, that one I can't. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. That'll be fun. That one. So yeah, so I've done a bit on those, and then what I'm going to do is just again spray them. And like I say, these have not had, see how that one spread everywhere because I dropped it a bit, went on the, these haven't had any gesso or anything on them. And then what I'm just going to do, the ones that I've got here, I'm just going to dab up some of this wet like that, just so I can get a bit of colour on them as well. And then these ones, I'm just going to leave them as they are. So the ones that, but I moved them out the pool of the wet. This one needs a bit of dabbing. You can either dab it onto your paper or you can dab it onto another one. I'm just going to dab that one onto there. So I'm going to dab a bit of the wet off. So that silvery one looks got a little bit of colour on it. And then that pink one, I've just dabbed that. This one's got very, very wet and it's spread the colour a lot more. The more water you put on, the more the colour sort of dilutes. So these here, the colours are beautiful in them. I'm just going to leave those to, I'm going to drip them off a little bit. My heat gun on them. And these I'm just soaking in some of that pool, and then when I've had enough, I'm just going to dab it off a little bit, and then I'm going to get a sheet if I can find, oh it's a bit here, look, so I'm just going to use this to take up a bit of this wet. Just so I don't waste it all. And just leave these to dry if I can. Don't know where I'm going to put these because I'm running out of space. Maybe just on the floor. There we go. And then what I thought I'd do is I thought with these I'm just going to do this head gel, and I'm going to do these without any gesso or anything on. I'm going to use, I don't know what colour to use, just to try it. I think I'm going to go with the green. Now I find these a bit difficult to use. I would imagine if I'd have looked when I got them, they probably do sell a little tool to lift them out with, because they haven't got a shaker or anything on these Magicals. They've just got the pot. Now I think the ones you get now, the new ones, have a shaker, but the smaller one than that one, and so I just use a little bit of this. Lid inside there comes out, and I'll put a bit on there and then just flick it on. That works quite well. So I've done that. Now again, this one, because I've put the water on first, it's actually left a solid lump on there. If I was to put more water on that, it would dilute it more. But I'm going to leave that one like that. This one here, it hasn't diluted it at all, so I am going to just spread that a little bit. Can you see? Am I in the camera? I don't know whether I am. Let me get in the camera with that and just spread that on a little bit. That's it. I'm just going to spread that a little bit more because that's quite thick, and then I'm going to just mop up this because my paper's getting very wet in the background because I'm not using my heat tool at each stage. I'm going to use it at the end. So I'm just going to squirt these. Oh, I've got a lovely solid bit there that's just landed right in the pool of the water. Now I get my hands, I can't wear gloves. I was a nurse for years and I had to wear gloves all the time when I was doing anything, which rightly so you have to do. But now when I'm doing the craft I don't wear gloves. So, and I'm just going to just dilute some of that down. Just, I don't know whether you can actually see that colour, maybe not. I will show you when I do the card, but I'm just going to, all I'm going to do now is just put some of these back in, some of these colours, and then when I do them again with the gesso on, you'll see the difference it's made. Right, so I'm going to leave it there for now because I need to dry some of these off, show you what they've done. They look a mess at the minute, to be frank, but when I come back in you'll see the difference. So I'm just going to get them dried off and then I'll be back to you. Right, so I'm back. I've dried these out. There's various colours, and so they've taken in various ways. The ones that haven't taken, which I would have expected without the gesso on, is these. They have got a bit of colour on. You maybe can't see in there, but they have. But it's very faint. That one's got a little bit more. It's how the black one has picked up with a little bit of blue and a little bit of red in it. So they all get a little bit of something different. I mean, that one there, that was the one that actually had quite a lot on, but when it's dried, it looks quite nice. It's fine. This one here, it's made like the pink, very dirty pink. I mean, it's made it completely different to the original. I mean, they're not finished yet. So what I'm going to do with some of these, I'm not sure which ones I'm going to do yet. I'm going to do the grey ones, I think, first. I'll probably just move these a bit out the way. Now, I'm not using any ones that I put the gesso on, so I'm just... oh, that one, look, took up a lot of the black. So I'm going to do something else with that in a minute. So these here... oh, that one's took a bit of... that one had a bit of green in the piece, and that has really shined. Look at that, how that shined. So I might leave that one. I might not put any more on that one for a minute. But what I'm going to do with these, I've got some of these dilution sprays. I don't know whether I've had it open, so I've used it, but I can't think what I've used it on. And I'm just going to see what this looks like. Again, without any gesso. I don't know how powerful this spray is. Wow, quite powerful. Yeah. And then I'm just going to let some of these drip. So it covers them. I don't always do the Nuvo, I can't think what they're called now, Brushos. Not Nuvo, the Brushos. I don't always use those and then put another colour on the top, but I'm just doing that with these silvery coloured ones. Then also I've got some of this Nuvo Micro Mist. Now the spray's gone on it. I'll give it a really good shake before I came on, but I don't think it'll spray. No. I've tried washing all the pipe out. I think it's this front bit there, but I've tried to give it a wash and I think I've probably left it too long before I cleaned it. So disappointing because there's a lot of this left and it's lovely. So all I'm going to do with this is just spray. Not spray, sprinkle with the Now, I was doing this on another project last night and it wasn't going anywhere near what I was aiming at. When I picked my cup up to have my drink, I'd painted my cup and my cup was nowhere near, so it does go a long way, so just be aware of that. So don't have anything near you that you don't want to get splashes on. So I probably have, because I've got a dog right behind me, I'll probably have a glittery dog later. He doesn't care though, because he's had this long walk and he always falls asleep. He's absolutely flat out. So I'm just putting one or two bits. I mean, most of it's going on the backing paper, which is fine because I'm going to use that for something anyway at some point, not straight away. Oh, I'm trying to get this red one, but I say my aim must be completely off because I can't just get that red one. Right, so I'm going to leave it at there. I'm going to give these a dry now, and then when I come back it'll be doing something dry with them. So I'll be back to you when I've got them dried off. So I'm leaving these to dry before I can come back and finish this. And I've got all these to cut out that I've stuck on. So I'm going to call this part 1, and then I'll come back with a part 2 and show you what I've done with these and what I've done with the other ones that are still drying, and I will finish these off. So I'll say bye for now. Keep safe and I'll be back to you shortly. Bye.